end the serial killing of innocent and defenseless citizens in Ebonyi State by alleged herdsmen. The Senate notes with sadness the general state of insecurity in Nigeria, which has now spread to most parts of the country, devastating communities and wantonly destroying lives and livelihoods unabated. Concerned that the killings, maiming, kidnapping and wanton destruction of lives and property by herdsmen have now become the daily experience of innocent and defenseless people of Ebonyi State, who are murdered in their numbers almost on a weekly basis. Aware that on 30th day of March 2021, over 18 indigenes of Egedege, Obegu, and Amazu communities in each local government area of Ebonyi State, including a priest, were gruesomely murdered in cold blood by rampaging herdsmen. Alarmed that on Monday, just 2 days ago, 12th day of April 2021, the alleged herdsmen and Agila people again invaded Otuebu, Igidobu, and Ndiagu Ibe Oba village in Umugudo Akpu communities in the Huku local government area of Ebonyi State, and gruesomely killed over 12 innocent indigenes, burned and destroyed over 56 houses, and kidnapped 5 persons. Concerned that if the federal government does not intervene urgently, these wicked and senseless killings, kidnapping, and destruction of property and may continue, thereby subjecting Ebonyians and other citizens of Ebonyi State to severe hardship and terrific fear. Accordingly, resolves to 1. Condemn in the strongest terms the various attacks on the communities in Ebonyi State by alleged herdsmen leading to wanton destruction of lives and property. 2. Observe a minute silence in honor of the victims of the various attacks in the community of Ebonyi State. 3. Direct the Nigerian police and other relevant security agencies to carry out comprehensive investigations of these dastardly attacks and to promptly arrest and prosecute the perpetrators, as well as rescue kidnapped victims that are still held captive. 4. Urge the federal government and the Ebonyi State to put appropriate measures in place to forestall further attacks. 5. Request the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately intervene through the provision of relief materials to the families of the victims and displaced persons in the affected communities. Thank you, Mr. President.
The killings of our people in the hands of herdsmen. Mr. President, this is becoming very, very worrisome. That a country that goes about says that is under the rule of law, that issues of this nature keep repeating themselves on a daily basis. Mr. President, I used to know as a young boy in those good old days that parts of Ebonyi, that used to be the old Enugu State before the creation, and our area in Enugu North Central District that's very contiguous and shares the same boundaries, that because of the lush green vegetation in our area and several rivers and rivulets, it has become a natural invitation to herders to stay. And in those good old days, Mr. President, we never had issues of killings. Everything, we resolve issues of any disagreement in the palaces of our local chiefs. And if the cow went into the farm, they resolve it and pay, and pay, and then things moved on normal. I remember in those good old days, Mr. President, that we used to have during the Ramadan period, the feast and all that. We come to watch the Muslims celebrating the end of Ramadan, their dance and everything. And I remember in those good old days, Mr. President, that during that period, the herdsmen carry sticks. They go with sticks. You don't see them with anything more than that. I also remember in those good old days, Mr. President, that during the famine season, from the middle of March, the beginning of March, that we see the herdsmen, they leave and move uplands in parts of Enugu State and Ebonyi, where there's not a purely agrarian. And we do our farm work. Once we finish our farm work, around September ending to October, they return.
The senior senator must have not said much of what has happened to our state within these last 3 weeks. We've metamorphosed from communal clashes that has claimed over 700 people between the Efiom and Ezza people, which fall under his senatorial zone. After that, just 3 weeks ago, the 18 people, of course, their bodies were all shown in social media. They were slaughtered. On Monday, the 12 were slaughtered. As I'm talking to you, Mr. President, I got a call this morning that nobody slept in Abakaliki in fear of the herdsmen attacking them last night because they got signal that they were around. All of them ran into their houses. Mr. President, not to say much, the nation has heavily moved by Senator Egwu. His heart beating. I support this motion wholeheartedly that something must be done to safeguard the life of the people. Just less than 3 weeks, over 32 people killed by herdsmen. Over 700 people killed by communal clashes between Benue, Efiong, and Ezza, which is part of Benue and part of Ebonyi. Mr. President, all the prayers as raised by Senator Sam Egwu, I stand to support it. I therefore support. Thank you, Mr. President.
Strongest terms the various attacks on communities in Ebonyi State by alleged herdsmen leading to wanton destruction of lives and property. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Prayer 2, observe a minute silence in honor of the victims of the various attacks by alleged herdsmen against communities in Ebonyi State. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Prayer 3, direct the Nigerian police and other relevant security agencies to carry out comprehensive investigation of these dastardly attacks and to promptly arrest and prosecute the perpetrators, as well as rescue kidnapped victims that are still held captive. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Prayer 4, urge the federal government and Ebonyi State governments to put appropriate measures in place to forestall further attacks. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Prayer 5, request the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately intervene through the provision of relief materials to the families of the victims and displaced persons in the affected communities. Those in favor of prayer 5 say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. 1 minute silence, please.